How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is currently 10 degrees outside, and for the last 2 or 3 days it's been completely freezing, so that basically limits the content that I can make. Unfortunately, there is literally nothing to do here. I'm also currently waiting on some new plates for the Mustang. I did take both the plates off of the car, and for now the car is just going to be sitting here until I get the new plates. I could throw the plates back on, put the new sticker on, and then I'd have to get a new sticker when my plates arrive, but I don't really have anywhere to go. Since it's going to be cold here for like the next 3 months, I am currently working on something for the videos, so stay tuned for that in the next max week. Everything should be ready and good to go. In today's video, just want to make a quick video of my experience with sports cars and the police, and whether you get targeted for driving a sports car. So I've owned 3 sports cars. 2 of them have been on YouTube because 2 of them I still own, the Mustang and the BMW. I also had a Gen 1 Audi TT. It was an '01, it was black. It was basically all blacked out, the wheels were blacked out, still had the stocks on it, however, and it also had some blacked out taillights, which will play into the story in a little bit. So to answer the question, do cops target you for having a sports car? The answer is yes. You will get targeted to some extent. You have a little bit of a flashier car, cops are going to pay a little bit more attention to it. But the first sports car I had was the BMW. The BMW is a little bit more classy. You usually see an older person driving it, and for that reason, I was not targeted with that car whatsoever. Anytime I drive the car, I never feel like I'm going to get pulled over because of the car. If you saw a stock M Roadster, a stock Z3, for the most part, you think an older person would be driving the car, especially if it's an M Roadster. And younger people do like to drive the Z3s, but for the most part, a lot of older people, especially around where I am, you would expect an older person to be driving it, tend to be more responsible with their cars and just cruising, right? The car's not loud, obnoxious in any way. Never had an issue driving that car, and I don't think I will. For the first month or so of owning that car, I did not have it registered. After the first 14 days, the temp tag ran out, and probably for another week, I just did not have license plates on the car whatsoever. The temp tag was expired and it was on my windshield because it's a convertible. So if there was a cop behind me, he would definitely pull me over. But for the first month, no one said anything. Then I threw the collector plates on because they were sitting in the garage from a previous car. And if you don't know what that is, the car has to be 20 years old. I didn't register it because the car wasn't 20 years old, right? Until the next year, which I could register it as a collector car. The car just 3 months, no registration. It had plates on it at one point. I never got pulled over or talked to about the car or anything like that, because again, it's seen as a little bit more of a classy car. A kid normally wouldn't be driving that car, so you can probably get away with a couple more things than you normally would in a different car. Now, the TT was a car that a younger person could definitely get their hands on, a younger person could definitely drive. It had a cracked bumper, it was blacked out, it looked like a younger person drove the car. I bought it as a winter beater for a couple $1,000s, and I had the car for 2 or 3 months. And I got pulled over twice. One time it was because the cop said he could not see my rear taillights because they were tinted, and over his Explorer lights, he probably just couldn't see them and he thought they were off. So he pulled me over for that, and I got a written warning for that. First time and only time I've ever got a written ticket of any kind, which was in that car. I've only been pulled over like 4 times, and 2 of those times were in that car. So that car was definitely a target. The cops can see a younger person driving it, or for the most part, they expected a younger person to be driving it. So anytime they saw it and they saw something that they could pull me over for, they definitely did. Now, that was the second time I got pulled over. The first time was, I got the car stuck in some snow. It pulled the front license plate off. Coincidentally, both times was by a sheriff. So the first time I got pulled over because I did not have a front plate on the car, and the officer gave me a verbal warning. I told him what happened, and he let me go. Now, the car I had about 6 months before that, I did not have a plate on that car. Front plate on that car for a very long time. In the Mustang, I have not had a front plate on the front of my car for the year I've bought it. But I guess 1, I just got unlucky, and 2, it happened to be a car that was slightly more targeted by a cop. Now the next car I got was the Mustang. I got a couple complaints about the car being too loud and I was allegedly speeding. The cops had to investigate a little bit into that, and then they just gave me a verbal warning. And then I got pulled over by a cop because the car's a little bit louder. You see the car a little bit more. If a cop has nothing better to do and he feels like pulling someone over, they are going to pull over the loud sports car. Now, that happened to be one thing. I live in a smaller city. In a bigger city, for the most part, a cop is not going to care. whether a car is loud or not. The exhaust I have is legal, so there's nothing he could do. He gave me no warnings, nothing. He just simply left. That's kind of my story, right? You're gonna get targeted, one, if you're doing dumb things in a sports car and you have a previous record of some kind that the cops know that that is your car, right? That's gonna be with anything, even if you drive a Honda Accord. But if a cop sees a sports car that can be driven by a younger person, probably like a Subaru WRX that's all blacked out or something like that, a car that looks a little bit more suspicious as a sports car, you will get pulled over. Sports cars are going to be slightly more targeted depending on the car you have, right? So you kind of get away with it a little bit. The BMW is a sports car that's seen by a lot of older people driving it. It's not a huge target. Blacked out cars are going to be highly targeted. Cars that have illegal window tints to a very high extent, illegal window tints, illegal windshield tints, a super loud exhaust that isn't legal. Those cars will be targeted. A lot of cops will kind of just wave it off, but there will be certain cops that will pull you over. And that's the answer I have. Sports cars are 100% targeted. And that's just something you have to be aware of. As long as you be responsible and respectful, for the most part, cops will let you off or they won't even bother you, but you are going to be a target. But that's all I have on that topic. Like I said before, I'm currently working on a little bit of a setup. I hope it should be done in a couple of days here and make some pretty good videos on some topics that I wanted to talk about for a while. We're trying to hit 100K before this summer, and we're super close to 70,000 subscribers. I'm probably going to do some type of Q&A when we do hit 70,000. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.